When we were younger, we all probably thought that our grandparents had lived in a world that was completely devoid of color. Only because of the fact that, well, every photo from their time was in black and white. Every photo from like the 1950s, 60s, every TV show, film, media from back then were all black and white. The first ever in-color movie was The Wizard of Oz, if I remember correctly. And yeah, before then, everything was in black and white. We had absolutely no color, aside from, well, with your actual eyes. Even photos were black and white. And, eventually we advanced. But what if you lived in a world that had never advanced? We're now back to reality here. And today we're going to be talking about the haunted school. Let me just tell you straight up, this could easily be an essay video. This is going to be probably my longest book review, and I already have videos I want to make about this book in the future, just glazing the shit out of it. Because if you don't know, I'm not gonna lie, y'all might know my score immediately. This is my favorite Goosebumps book of all time, and I've been waiting to finally come out and say it. This is my favorite Goosebumps book of all time. It has defeated Egg Monsters. It has defeated my actual favorite book of all time, at least favorite, and now this is both the best and the favorite Goosebumps book of all time, even if it's flaw, because there is one flaw, but I will point out in the downsides when we get there. But yeah, let's just not waste any time, let's jump straight to the blurb. And now for the blurb. He's hearing voices from another world. Tommy Fraser's dad just got married. Now Tommy's got a new mom, and he's going to a new school, Bell Valley Middle School. Tommy doesn't hate school, but it's hard making friends. And his new school is so big, it's easy to get lost, which is exactly what happens. Tommy gets lost in a maze of empty classrooms, and that's when he hears the voices. Kids' voices crying for help. Voices coming from behind the classroom walls. Reader beware, you're actually in for a fucking scare. Yeah, this is a genuinely scary Goosebumps book, in a more subtle way than you'd expect. Also, more literal way that you might expect, in both ways. So, immediately, let me just tell you, like I said, I absolutely love this book. This could easily be like a 40 to an hour long video talking about one book from Goosebumps. This one book I could easily make into an hour long essay video, just because of how much there's to dissect about it and how much I absolutely love it. And we're gonna get into that now. I'm not gonna waste much time in these segments because I already know where the meat of this video is gonna be, and that's in the upsides. Where do I fucking begin? I think the most obvious place to begin with is simply what exactly makes a story so great. What specifically? There's many things that factor into it, but what is so great about the story? The horror. I think this is easily the most frightening Goosebumps book, thanks to a numerous multitude of factors, but overall, we're going to combine it into one giant ball. This book is terrifying, in a weird way. And I think it gets overlooked in that regard sometimes. I know this is a very liked book. A lot of people come out and said this is an amazing story, if not really darn good. People really like this one. And I'm no different, clearly. Since it's my all-time favorite Goosebumps story, as I'm finally going to confirm, this is beaten Egg Monsters. It is number 1 now. The thing that makes this specifically scary is the gray world. Yeah. Which is why I made the intro black and white. God willing, I can filter that. Hopefully it should work. The gray world is terrifying. And not just because it's black and white, but that is a factor. There's so much to dissect here. Imagine living in a world devoid of color. So straight off the bat, your eyes have no candy. You have nothing colorful to look at. Look at this room. It is a fucking fever dream of colors. We got blacks, whites, greens, oranges, purples, a lot of purples, lots of greens, some reds, some pinks, oranges, more oranges, yellows, everything. We got a whole fuck ton of colors in this room. Let's make that black and white now. Now, how boring is that? So immediately, it's less fun, you know? It's less vibrant. So it's already the depressing mood, in itself. But then you also combine the fact that you're gonna live there forever. literally forever. You will never die, and you'll never age. I mean, maybe that's not too bad, but you never age. If you're going to be immortal, I'd prefer not to age. But that doesn't really help much. You're immortal. If you get taken by this realm. Which, a group of kids, might I add, have been taken by this realm. I believe it was 12. The class of 1957 or something. These kids went completely missing out of the blue, so they're stripped from families, from reality, from everything they know and love, into this gray dimension of literal torture. Psychological torture. Because the only thing keeping them sane is themselves, alright? And each other. They're the only social interaction they have. They're probably closer than you could imagine because they're the only people in this realm that they can talk to. That we know of. That leaves it very open. Those original kids are the only people existing in this realm that we know of. So yeah, they can't die. They're here forever, they're immortal, and they're going to slowly and surely go fucking mad, which they have. As you can see by this next terrifying thing, there's a cult. So not only are you trapped in one room, might I add, you're literally in this one room for the past 50 years, which is already one of the worst horror cases I've ever heard in alone, not mentioning it's black and white, and you're immortal. There's this cult outside that you can easily just go out. You can hop out the window, but they haven't because they know, yeah, I'd prefer to be in here, where they drink black pus out of a hole in the ground, which is disturbing. It's very disturbing imagery. Yeah, let alone these kids, I don't believe they speak any fluent English or anything. They're just totally mad. They don't speak properly anymore. And let alone they live in a fog. There's almost nothing recognizable out there aside from, well, what you can see. Sometimes kids, if you're with the group, or fog. Because we've all seen fog before. There's nothing to grasp. Aside from the school building. Which, I don't remember if there's a whole school building attached to that one room, but I'm assuming that if it is, it's probably empty, or, it doesn't exist, or at least the other insides of the school. Yeah, horrifying. Blatantly horrifying. Just stand alone, it is terrifying. That's basically why this book is one of the scariest, psychologically most damaging ideas in Goosebumps. If you compare it to the back rooms, I would much prefer going to the back rooms. I know it's more physically violent, and that's something I really like to compare this book to, the back rooms, because it has a very similar idea with no clipping. We'll get to some of the cool-ass ideas in this book in a minute. It's just very, very much more damaging psychologically, because you can't die. You can't die, unlike the back rooms. You're stuck there forever. In both cases, yeah. But you're literally stuck there forever, as in you can't die. Your body, yeah, either way, you're just stuck there forever, but you can't die. Would you ever be able to die or ever not die? Because I think this question has been done a million times. I'd rather not be immortal because, well, I don't want to see all that shit. It's going to be a very long life, and let me tell you, it's going to get so boring, I'll probably go insane. And that's exactly what's going to happen to these kids. Yeah, they're going to be there for millions of years in that one room. Black and white. School building. God, well, it's fucking school. Who likes school? Apparently these kids. I don't fucking know. Either way. Yeah. So, the horror moved aside. Not even talk about the inflictor of this horror, Mr. Chameleon. This is a fucking essay, and we're only 6 minutes, we've done one big-ass upside. Let's talk about the characters. The characters are good. I like the main character. He has a little bit behind him. He just went through some semi-traumatic family stuff, divorce, stepmom and shit. And now he's trying to fit in and make some new friends, which I think is really cool. Relatable for some people. He makes some friends, and the friend characters are all nice. The main one that you get to stick around with, the one who goes into the Grey World with him, he's a pretty cool dude. And I think there's some nice reveals with some characters, as well as the characters within the Grey World are really cool, because you can see how much it has affected them, as well as the looming threat of Mr. Chameleon. Let's talk about him now. Mr. Chameleon. Now, I'll have a downside about him. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, he's not amazing. He's an 8 out of 10 villain, only because he doesn't appear until the final, like, page of the book. Which is, like, bro, come on, man. Come on. And he doesn't even say a word, I don't think. So it's kind of sad. But, at the end of the day, Mr. Chameleon is a looming threat. He's not there in the book. He's really not there. He can honestly be absent, and it would still have the same effect on me. Mr. Chameleon is a more, he's kind of an urban legend in a way, because you never see him, but you know of his existence and his presence. He is the reason these kids are in this gray world dimension, and why they've been missing for 40, 50 years, and are still missing. Yeah. They vanished because on picture day, he was the photographer, and let's just say he had no fucking reason to do so, besides the fact that he's a fucking evil son of a bitch. Mr. Chameleon is pure evil. That is literally it. He is a pure evil motherfucker. He is unbelievably evil. I don't know if he exactly knows what he's doing, if he's forced to do it, but at the end of the day, whoever is really behind this all, whether it's Mr. Chameleon or not, the looming threat that there's this dude out there, especially by the end of the book, when it actually happens to the main character, which is already a super dark ending. Great ending, might I add. It's a humongous upside that we have a great-ass dark ending attached to the end of this book, which is already dark as hell, where the main character gets into this dimension after they just escape it. I believe the day after. And, Mr. Chameleon, his threat is very much present, he's out there, he's doing this shit. For all we know, this is a pocket dimension that he created. For all we know, maybe this already exists, and maybe there's kids in other places in this dimension stuck. We don't know, and I like that. I like that we don't know, because, well, it lets your mind fill in some ideas, it lets your mind wander, because if he's still around by the end of the book, and it's been 50 years since he originally took this other photo and put a class in there, and he does it to this main character now, and you can easily assume you're fucked. And he's done it a million times, or a lot of times at least. Or, it's just assuming. So yeah, he is definitely one of the most powerful, threatening villains without being one, just because of what he has done. It's terrifying. It's horrible. He is super messed up. If he actually knows what he's doing. Either way, he's doing it, and he's an asshole. Fuck that dude. I love Mr. Chameleon, even if I don't rate him that highly as a character, just because of his lack of appearance in the book. But I think his looming threat really makes up for a lot of it. I might just move him to a 9 out of 10. He's a great villain, without actually appearing, at all. Yeah. Mr. Chameleon characters, we've been over the horror of the book. Let's talk about some of the ideas in here that I thought were great. The black and white shit, alright? Immediately. That is really cool. I think it is a really cool approach to a ghost story. Bring it up now. The Haunted School title is really bad. Alright, I love this book. I love the story behind it. But the Haunted School, you really could have called it that. I get it. I know the origin of the idea, I guess. These kids came up to Stine at a convention or meet and greet book signing stuff back in the 90s at a bookstore. And they're like, our school's haunted, write a story about our school. And he's like, okay. So he did it. That was the origin story of Haunted School. I believe it's in one of the trading cards for it. That you can get in the Goosebumps books. And, I know that it was a simple title idea. It's just like, why, man? It's not even haunted. It's not even about ghosts. There are no ghosts in this book. But either way, I really like the black and white idea with this book. I think it was really, really, really cool to see something like this in here. And it's also adding to the horror of it once again. I really like colors. I don't think that's a hot take, that colors are pretty cool. I'm really happy with what I'm able to see. We got reds, blues, purples, violets, pinks. Some of the coolest colors out there. Green, orange. Orange is my personal favorite color, as you can tell by my framing. right there. Yeah, it's just like, you take it out of the way, fuck you. And I really like that. The whole idea of how to get into this gray world is so simple, but so cool. You take this elevator, and it's literally no clipping at this rate. It goes off to the side. Elevators go up and down. What if it just magically went to the side? That is scary. That is very scary. I do not like that. That is not cool. If my elevator started going sideways, I am going to shit my pants. That's not fucking normal. Let alone now I've read The Haunted School and I'm like, well, I'm fucked. See y'all on the flip side. I didn't bring lipstick with me to escape. Really cool escape mechanic, might I add. I think that is sick. That's a whole nother thing they have to use. Since they are draining of color, they have to quickly find out a way to escape. By the end of the book, they realize, hey, I have lipstick or chapstick in my pocket. It has color. I think it was red. So they use it to make a portal. Because a circle of color allows them to escape in a world of gray. Or sorry, one of the other characters that was revealed to be part of the gray world who escaped somehow came back after realizing they belong there, which was a cool thing, and very, very depressing, but kind of beautiful. They returned there knowing that they don't belong there just because they're literally a gray person now. They have been in there too long that, they really do belong that place. The place owns them. They have accepted their fate, in other words. Which is really dark. Very, very dark stuff. Very dark shit. I think there was one more thing I wanted to mention. Yes, the statues. That's a scary-ass scare, right? I already hate statues. Mannequins are creepy. Statues moving sounds creepy. I'm gonna shit my pants with the new Dark Deception chapter, chapter 5. There's a whole mannequin level, and it sounds terrifying just from the soundtrack alone. And now you have these statues. Now, they don't do anything. They're just a scare, to kind of hint at the gray world. The missing class. It's a really good scare, just because, well, it's kind of fucking creepy. Who puts statues in this abandoned part of the school of children who went missing? Apparently this school, and it's really weird, and I kind of really like that idea thrown in here. So yeah, my 14-minute ramble session of essay done. Sorry if I cussed a lot. I just love talking about this book. Now that is over, let's talk about my one downside. Aside from the lie and weird-ass title, Mr. Chameleon, like I said, I'm going to be very quick about this. Like I said, he doesn't really appear in the book. He's absent, which is sad. Comp mentioned this in his Haunted School review, and that kind of opened up my eyes a little more. Mr. Chameleon, if there were an extra 30 pages to this book, I think I would genuinely say this is perfect. Assuming that they actually expand upon Mr. Chameleon's appearance at the end. And maybe there's a final battle, like maybe they have to save the kids' gray. Or maybe they can reverse it all. Or not, doesn't matter, still a great ass book. Whatever Stine would have done, I think it would have really benefited from a few extra chapters, 30, even 20 pages. Something to give Mr. Chameleon some time to shine and really show his looming threat. Maybe he could be some sort of eldritch god, tormenting and trapping kids in this gray world for his own personal gain. Maybe he's sucking the life force out of them. Maybe he's some sort of color master and he needs color. I don't fucking know. Alright? I'm just spouting out random shit here. But Stine, if you ever return to this book or this idea one day, Mr. Chameleon, maybe even show him up in the comics. I mean, Keith returned in a Goosebumps comic, so yeah, I could totally see this happening too. Please, if Mr. Chameleon returns, give him some spotlight. Let him do his thing. Let's learn more about him. Not too much, I like my ambiguous stuff that really adds to the funness of Goosebumps books. That's why I really like Ghost and Mirror. It's very ambiguous on a lot of things, and I think that's really good, and it benefits. Same goes for here, only give us a little more to chew, because we barely see him. He's the villain, and we barely see him. It's one page, not even a page, and he doesn't even speak, I don't think. So, yeah. And now, let's move on to my rating. Gee, I couldn't tell you. 10 out of 10? That would be such a shocker. I've been dunking on this book so much. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Absolute essay this was. I love The Haunted School, and this is my all-time favorite Goosebumps story, and I have little to no issues with it. I think it is pretty much perfect, aside from the lack thereof of Mr. Chameleon. If I had to say any other perfect stories, I'd mentioned Screams in the Night. That one's really good. I have no issues with that. And the actual most perfect Goosebumps story, I'm Your Twin. I have no issues with that story. I think it's perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing. It's a banger. So check this one out. Check Evil Twin out. Check Screams in the Night out. If you can get that book, it's it's not common in the wild. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this book review. Tell me what you think of The Haunted School below, and I'll see you guys in 2025. Bye.